So moving down our list here of micronutrients, vitamin D, right? So again, I would say it's critical. We don't think about it a lot, but we need vitamin D. And I cannot tell you guys how many, most of our patients or individuals, I mean, a lot of us are deficient in vitamin D. And surprised when, the person sees their results. Like here, so vitamin D, again, we're testing for the active form of vitamin D. So it should, it's a range of 30 to 100 nanograms per milliliter. So there was a time when I first tested my vitamin D a year ago or so, and I was taking a particular, D3, right? And I was surprised my vitamin D level was, in the 20s. So obviously what I was taking, I was not absorbing it at all. So vitamin D, so vitamin D would need to be taken with K2, right, to be absorbed. So I think Shannon, her vitamin D level was a little bit low.
Shannon, share. Mine was, so the range is 30 to 100. Mine was 44. Shannon, do you mind sharing what was your vitamin D?
Yes, with Steph, although it's 44 instead of normal range, I would prefer to see that more, on the upper, more towards the upper, normal. So it's still, to me, you could still bring that up higher. Yeah. So like now I'm very happy to say, mine is 70 or 71, something like that. So whatever I'm taking is working.
Awesome. And I love that you bring that up because that's why we're talking about this. So the range is 30 to 100 and mine is 44. And so your average person is going to get that back and go, yay, I'm good. And we've got Dr. Geer saying, Steph, we'd really like to see that number higher. You fall within the limits, but we want to move to a more optimal range for you and your time of life. And so we want to get that up closer to 70 or 80. And that's what's so beneficial about having a consult with somebody after doing this blood work is you're not just looking, did I pass the test or did I thrive with the test? And so I appreciate Dr. Geer bringing that up. And Shannon, what were your levels? How are you doing with your vitamin D?
I'm at 25.
Oh, girly. All right. Okay.
Yeah. And, I'll spend some time outside. I'm not terribly far from the beach. My friend has a pool. I have a garden and a yard that needs, the weeds pulled. But it's also like over 100 degrees. Because it
not advisable to spend a lot of time outside.
It's so hot. So anyways, all that to say, I am now on a supplement again. Because like Dr. Aloma was saying, one of the multis that I was taking, it either didn't have enough or it wasn't bioavailable for me. So now I'm on more. Can you speak a little bit to what we might feel with vitamin D levels being too low? And what happens if they're too high?
I don't think I have seen a person with too high of vitamin D. But if they're low, they could really affect your mood, sleeping. That we call it, it's vitamin D, but it's really a hormone, right? And I have seen cases where you're definitely mood, muscle pain in your joints, just because vitamin D is integral again to numerous processes that are happening in our body, and we don't think much of it. But I truly believe, and in my experience, it is one of the essential micronutrients that we need, along with the B's, B vitamins, vitamin D, magnesium, right? Because magnesium and vitamin D, they work together in a lot of processes. And so if you're deficient in one or the other, they will not be functioning efficiently. So, and so many of us have low vitamin D, tiredness, lethargy, no energy, high cholesterol is, we see that as well. So if you increase your vitamin D levels, you can bring your cholesterol levels down. Yes.
Well, and I like that you said, I'm going to reiterate it, that vitamin D is not just a vitamin, it's a hormone. It functions as a hormone in the body. And I remember reading somewhere that every single cell in your body has a receptor site for vitamin D. And what that means is there's not a function in the body that vitamin D doesn't affect. And so it's a very, very powerful vitamin, and it's great to get tested. And like I said, you don't want to just be within range. You want to be on the more optimal side of that. So it's a pretty big deal. I've also seen, and with my clients that have low levels of vitamin D, I've seen a lot of excess sweating. That's something that will show up that'll change when somebody's vitamin D levels start to climb, which I don't know if there's any science behind that. That's just a kind of a personal story that I've seen in a couple of my clients. Focus, gets better. I've seen with some of my clients that supplement, with vitamin D. So it affects so many things. So it's a really, really important one to take a look at.
And it will bring other markers, other hormones, other, metabolites back into balance.
Awesome.
So, a person that may have excessive sweating, they may have some other hormone, imbalances that will normalize as your vitamin D level goes up. So, like my husband, for example, so he stopped taking all the vitamin D supplements because he said he was sunbathing, right? And he was happy and everything. And but when his levels, was like 20 something as well. So I'm like, your vitamin D level is really low. He's like, oh yeah, I stopped sunbathing. It was too hot to be outside. So
Yeah.
for how many weeks it was. So sometimes we don't realize that if we change our activities, right, and with the change of season, it will affect us. And when we are in a cold climate in winter, we don't get a lot of vitamin D externally. There's, so we would have to just be cognizant, right, that to take our vitamin D, so D3 plus K2. There are other, other combinations of that, that a person may need to take a different type. And so, you'd have to have a consultation for that. Like, for example, for bone loss, right? So vitamin D is very important in preventing bone loss. And so depending on the person, and in most cases it's women, right? So the amount of K2 that's present that they would need to take is much, much higher than what a regular person would take. So
the stage of life matters. When we're looking at our vitamins, it's not a one size fits all. What my 24-year-old daughter takes is going to be and needs is going to be different than what my 55-year-old postmenopausal body is going to need. And so we need to keep that in mind. Just because it's a best-selling product doesn't mean it's the best one for you. So keep that in mind. And that's why consultation and testing is so important. So thank you for that.